Greetings all, FerrariMan601 here. Here's my face, so you know that this is some serious business. Mere moments ago, as many of you undoubtedly have found out by this point, we learned that Mike from SimRacing604 has decided to call it quits. This is an announcement that has come completely out of left field. I had no inkling, no suspicion that anything was going on with Mike, and of course he's been putting out absolutely great content for really the last few years. He got onto YouTube in August of 2013, and he really started to take off in 2017, 2018, around the same time that all of the usual suspects on YouTube in terms of the sim racing community have taken off. It was Mike, it was Aidan Millward, to some extent it was myself. But Mike really was one of these channels who absolutely had a meteoric rise. He, of course, like everybody on YouTube, you start from zero. And in a relatively short time, he was able to amass nearly 13,000 subscribers. And in terms of everything else, all the other metrics that we look at, he was able to get about 3 million video views, somewhere around there. And I've got to say, to me, this is a pretty hard-hitting thing to learn about, and it's a pretty interesting thing to digest. Because Mike, on many occasions, has actually said that I was one of his major inspirations for wanting to get onto YouTube. And for somebody like me who is, of course, a privateer doing all of this basically just as a leisure activity, you know, on days that I have basically nothing better to do, for somebody like me to hear that somebody who is able to have so much success, especially in the very short time frame in which it happened for Mike, to hear that that I was an inspiration for that I had some sort of influence in somebody being able to achieve what they were able to achieve, is a pretty humbling thing. And it makes the news all the more difficult to digest for me. I know that recently, earlier this year anyway, Mike, myself, and Aidan Millward, we did a collaboration. We did a little podcast that you saw on Mike's channel and on Aidan's channel. I chose not to feature it, but we did a podcast talking about Formula One, what we might expect to see this season from the technical side, from the sporting side, and maybe directions the sport could go in the future. We had a great time doing that. It was a successful video for Aidan and for Mike. And of course, I was very happy to be a part of that. You get me talking about motorsport to a couple other guys for 3 hours, I'm going to enjoy it. So that was fun. And I was quite honestly looking forward to having the opportunity to do something like that again with Mike and maybe with Aidan. I remember the Sim Racing's Perspectives podcast that I did with Mike later in 2018, talking about, again, Formula One, talking about sim racing. How do you drive these kinds of cars? How do they differ in terms of the eras, the different sims that we have them available in? And honestly, he became such a bedrock for the SimTuber community, if that's what we want to call it nowadays. We are very much a small group. Of course, there are some big guys out there. You've got the Jimmy Broadbents of the world and the Chris Hayes of the world. But for the most part, we do this because we like it. We like cars first and foremost. We enjoy motorsport. We enjoy watching it. We enjoy reading about it. We enjoy learning as much as we possibly can about it. And of course, given the wonderful things that we have today with technology, we're able to try this out for ourselves in some small regard. And quite honestly, that is what the SimTuber community is. All the channels that you see out there, whether it's mine, or if it's Mike's, or Aidan, or Jimmy Broadbent even. He's probably the most successful SimTuber of all time. But every single one of us who does this, we do it for the same reasons. We like cars, and we like motorsport, and we really just have the curiosity that I think everybody does as to whether or not we might be able to do this for real. And of course, those opportunities only come out to a select few. So the virtual world is the best that we have. But with Mike deciding to, at least for now, call it quits, I felt that it was appropriate for me to come out and say something about it, to acknowledge it, to, of course, wish him all the best. I don't know why he's decided to make this decision. I don't think it's anything untoward. I don't think it's anything sinister. I do know that he just has a very different life than many of us do. He's a little older than I am. He has a wife, he has a family, and I don't. And many other SimTubers, we just don't. So reality is a little bit different for everybody, of course, and that's the same here. So whatever the cause is, whatever the situation is that Mike is dealing with, and he has decided at this point that sim racing, or at least being on YouTube and sim racing, doesn't quite work out for him. Of course, I wish him all the best, and I know that all of us in this community, we definitely will echo those sentiments, and I expect to see basically everybody else in the sim racing community right now making videos like this and acknowledging the decision that Mike has made, and of course to wish him all the best in whatever pursuits he decides to go for next. And of course, above all else, we thank him very much for the contributions that he was able to make in the YouTube sim racing community. And I know that his channel, his videos, they'll still be up there. And of course, they'll continue to serve as some great reference material for anybody who is thinking of getting involved in sim racing. I watch his videos all the time, his mod reviews, especially in other sims that I really don't know very well or I really don't feature very often on the channel. I take a look at what he's doing, and I want to see what the state of the art is, because if you're going to be in anything, you have to know what the trends are, and you've got to know what's what, basically. And Mike was a great resource to be able to teach us all of that, and to be able to expose us to all of these things that maybe we're not particularly keen on and we want to learn about. So again, we wish Mike all the best. I certainly wish Mike all the best. And of course, we'll see what the future brings. As far as I'm concerned, and I think I speak for a couple other SimTuber channels, the proprietors of which I correspond with on a pretty regular basis, I know that we're going to be continuing to do what we do. And hopefully we'll be able to go on as a community with or without SimRacing 604. And I know that sounds a little bit cold or a little bit harsh, but it is what we do. Times change, people change, the demands of everyday life, they change for sure. And I know for a fact that Mike is still going to be out there. He's going to be watching what I do and what Aiden does and what Jimmy does, I'm sure. But we'll see what the future holds for Mike and for all of us. I like that he left it open there at the end. You might see me back someday. But for now, he's decided to call it quits. And of course, in the end, we only have to wish him well in all of that. Until next time, though, FerrariMan601 saying thank you very much for watching. And of course, Mike, SimRacing604, we thank you very much for what you've done for the sim racing community. And we hope that we will see you soon.